So I spent 33 hours on a game that was supposed to take me 13 hours. So today's episode is going to be all about this game that took me way longer than it actually should have, but I did still have a really great time with it. Welcome to Pixel Journey, where I take games and dig into them to see if they might be right for you. On this episode, we're going to be talking about Damon and Baby. So first off, let's get the little sponsor out of the way. I did get this through a code through Minimap, the company that I write reviews for. I did not get paid for it, I just got the code, and I'm under no obligation to talk nicely about any of the games I get from them. So, you're gonna hear both the pros and cons, obviously. So first off, this game, even if you just look at it, you can tell that it's heavily inspired by retro games, but it's not trying to emulate them, more like it was just heavily inspired by them. You can tell by the art style, kind of how it's moving, maybe like older 3D platformer titles. I really enjoyed it, and I like that they didn't try to straight up copy any one art style, and I think that led them to have an art style of all their own, and I really enjoyed it, and it was kind of part of what pulled me in to say yes to taking on the review. So let's start off with what exactly is happening in this game, kind of like a small overview of the story without any spoilers. You are Damon, a demon who is like kind of like a king, more or less, of the underworld. He's like a high-ranking demon, but demons are not tormenting people in this universe. They're actually kind of supposed to be helping people, more or less. To start off the game, you are bestowed this young child, and you need to basically transport her somewhere. This is basically just Death Stranding. I say as someone who has not played Death Stranding, but I know you transport a fetus. But at least this one gives you a double jump. But that's basically all for the story. Like, you get friends that help you along the way, but I think that the boss fights and like the traversal is more of like center stage until about the ending like hour or so, which I'm just gonna let you suffer through the game to get to that part and see for yourself, because I think it hits harder if you don't know it's coming. I know it certainly did for me as someone who was like half-assed following the story, and then like the ending comes out and it just kind of like hits you in the chest in a really good way. So the combat is definitely a key part of it, and it centers around guns and punching people. So you start out, obviously, you can punch people and you can upgrade with like some like knuckle glove things and even like some brass knuckles later on to upgrade your punches. And we'll get to skill points, but you can add more skill points to your punches to get even stronger off of your base stats. But a lot of the details come from the gun selection. So you actually can hold 4 different types of guns. The basic pistol handgun is the only one that has unlimited ammo and can really only be upgraded, I believe, through the skill points, or we'll talk about this later, Happy Chaos, an NPC that you can trade materials that you find for upgrades along with some other stuff. But you will also find different guns around the world by defeating enemies. They can drop it, breaking empty, boxes and stuff. And the selections are, you can find rifles, shotguns, and RPGs. The selection is really big, and obviously these are 3 very different types of weaponry, so they all react like they should. The RPGs are very slow to reload, but do a lot of heavy single damage outputs. The rifles, obviously, they're basically like fully automatic rifles. You just unload the barrel into the enemy and pray it does enough damage in a shorter amount of time. And then the shotgun, you need to be close range for it, or else it's not going to hit the enemy if it's far away from you. And it does some pretty decent damage, but it is also slower to reload. But the thing that keeps me from using them outside of any boss fights is the fact that not only do you need to find them in the world, then equip them so it doesn't take up bag space, don't worry about that. You can also find upgrades to them, but you need to find ammo. I think to start off you can hold like 250 bullets each, but I think you can upgrade that later. I just never did because I didn't use the guns that much. But it makes them very selective in how you can use them. So I just kind of kept them until like later boss fights. I don't think I even used them for the first half of the entire game. But they're quite fun, I will admit that. And I will say in the first half, I used punching as my primary weapon. I just got up close and personal and just started punching the shit out of all the enemies. But I would say Second half or last third of the game, I swapped over to primarily using my handgun. It was just easier. A lot of the enemies did a lot of really close range damage, so I could stand back and shoot them and just take them out. Some had protective spikes, some had these kind of like really jerky movements, and there's contact damage. If you know me, I hate contact damage. It is the bane of my existence because I like to get up close and personal with enemies. Everything about the game in the second half was just steering me to start utilizing ranged attacks more, and that's exactly what I did. So now we will move on to skill points. Touched about this a bit. You gain levels after defeating enemies, and each time you level up, you will get some skill points to be used. Now, you can use skill points for different areas, including health, all 4 types of your guns. They do upgrade independently. Your punch power and defense. The early levels, like the first 10 or so, whatever, maybe 5, 7, you only need 1 skill point, 2 skill points to upgrade the level, which I find really nice. When you start getting up there, like in the 20s and stuff, it can take 5, 7, 10 skill points. And that's how you know you're starting to really get towards the end game. But this does feel really balanced because the further you get level-wise, the more skill points you get to upgrade your stuff. So it never feels like you're having to wait to upgrade something. You might only need to wait another level or so, and then you can make a pretty good upgrade to like your punch or your health. And the next thing I have on here is to talk about the ultimates. So ultimates are kind of crucial because you can actually get into areas that are kind of locked with them. So you get 2 ultimates through just regular playing the game. Both of those are to unlock hidden areas. One can break through walls that have cracks in them, and the other one is you can down slam basically, and break open cracks in the ground. Both of these are ways to access kind of little bonuses. None of them are crucial for actually progressing the game if you're just trying to get point A to B, roll the credits. But if you're trying to like collect everything, this is crucial. Now, the only downside for some people is that you can only have 2 ultimates equipped at a time. And so that means you can basically choose to have the 2 that allow you to traverse better, or you can buy some that maybe make combat easier. I don't know. I actually just stuck with the 2 that they give you because I was lazy. But I do think that these are pretty good. I like them a lot, and I feel like they never made combat redundant or just really too simple. I really didn't use them much during combat at all. Now, something that is going to be quite important is the rings. So starting off, you can equip 2 rings, and then you can actually buy more ring slots. And the rings will do things from give you maybe higher defense, maybe an element is attached to one of your attacks, or you can even get a little helper to assist you in combat. You can come across the rings from either progressing in the story, that's how you get the buddies rings, you just kind of are bestowed upon them, and you get them for just progressing the story. Others you can find through smashing boxes or buying them from certain merchants. Now, my favorite was definitely the elemental infusion rings. You can only have 1 element equipped at a time, same with buddies, only 1 at a time. And I used the electricity one, and it was really amazing because it can kind of jump between different enemies, like most if you equip an electric kind of attack in any game. Jumps by nearby enemies. Really great, highly recommend, love it, was my favorite ring. Now the buddies, you get, I believe, 3 buddies, and my favorite was the bat. And that's because 1, the bat is really cute, and 2, you, I think, have the ability to regen health in some way, shape, or form with the bat. So that was really good because I would sometimes take stupid damage, and so that was really useful, especially in boss fights. The main downside to the buddies is sometimes they're a bit suicidal, and they will just run right into the attack. So they tend to die quickly, but while they're still alive, they do kind of tank aggro for you. So that might be good. So the first part of the game is pretty linear, which I really enjoyed. And then when you get to the shopping mall is when it starts to open up, and I actually got lost several times here. But the shopping mall is kind of like the central hub, and it is very crucial that you explore all of it if you can. So there are actually multiple shops, we'll call it, on the rooftop. Now, one is, I mentioned before, the place to upgrade your guns. You get to see Happy Chaos. Happy Chaos is the hardest one to get to because it is the only one that's locked behind a key to open the door to get there. So that one was the most painful one, and is also the reason why it took me 6 extra days past beating this game to get the last achievement to 100% it. But in addition to Happy Chaos with the gun upgrades, you also have a church, which is super, super crucial, and then this guy that lets you buy rings and upgrades. The dude that buys rings and upgrades, I talked to him once because I stumbled upon him and never went back to him. The church, on the other hand, is very important because you can buy rings, you can upgrade rings, and the main important part is for, like, I think it's 1,000 coins, and I don't know if it changes the more you do this, but you can fully reset all of your skill points. You get every single one of them back. There's no reduction, there's no penalty for it, and the game literally tells you that this is put in there to allow players to try different builds. And I truly love that because that is what I did halfway, 2/3 through the game, when I mentioned that I swapped from a punchy build to a shooty build. It's literally like the best thing in the game, and I think all games that have skill point systems should put something like this in there. So that is by far the most important thing in the game among these 3, I called them merchants, didn't I? Shopping centers. And so I've talked about Happy Chaos a few times, and if you are a Guilty Gears fan, you know who I'm talking about, and I am not someone who has played Guilty Gear. I'm just not a good fighting game person, but honestly, I saw so much stuff when trying to figure out what is happening in this game. I kind of want to try it, but there's multiple Guilty Gear games on Steam, so I don't know which one I would play. But there's Happy Chaos and several other people from the Guilty Gear games. They have obviously been changed to fit the world and art style of Damon and Baby, but it was really cool. Even though I have no idea who they are, I saw people so happy about them being in the game, and it just made me feel happy that other people were happy. So moving on to that, into more important things for the game, is chairs and beds. So the chair is the most important thing in the entire game. It is the point to where you can save your game, can change out your ultimates, put in your rings, and teleport. So you can pay money with each chair and you can activate it as a teleport waypoint. And so I highly suggest doing this with every single chair you find because it will be extremely helpful. And also there will be like a giant crystal thing next to all chairs, and you can just run by it and it'll autosave for you. But if you're like me who panic anytime autosave is supposed to be like the above and be all saving thing, you can just go in and save on the chair. So chair, super important, but bed, also important. Jumping on the bed also refills all of your health, but this is where you equip your skill points. So most of the time they will be in close proximity to each other, not always, but keep in mind, rings on chair, saving on chair, skill point on bed. Very important distinction, but both will heal you to full, so both are very nice. So if you are an achievement hunter, this game should be looking pretty good to you, and I will tell you why. 95% of the achievements will get achieved just by playing the game. You get achievements for entering new areas, which they're story areas, you have to get there, and defeating the bosses. There's no optional bosses, all of them have to be defeated. Just clearing the game, rolling credits on it, will get you 95% of the achievements that you need. The others, there are 2, and they are super easy to get. 1, go to the church and upgrade your ring. Upgrade a single ring, it doesn't matter which one it is, and you get an achievement. The last one is the one that I mentioned earlier, trying to go to Happy Chaos. You need to first get the key to get to Happy Chaos, and then once you're there, same as the ring, upgrade your handgun. Upgrade your handgun, and then you get the final achievement. And that is it. That is 100%. That is a blue ribbon added to your Steam library or platinum trophy. So let's just jump into the pros and cons. We'll do the pros first, because I do feel like there was quite a bit of pros in this. I did like it. The boss fights, all amazing. I feel like the boss fights are the best part of this game. I feel like the traversal, the platform and stuff, it's fine, it's okay. I got lost though. It was kind of annoying to get lost, i.e. in the shopping mall. I had to look up a walkthrough because I couldn't figure out where I was supposed to go. So that was kind of frustrating. But the bosses were all great. They were sometimes incredibly frustrating, but I never felt like I was doomed to be here for like 3 days and never be able to defeat a boss. There were some times to where I tried for like a couple hours, couldn't defeat it, put the game down, came back the next day and was able to defeat it. Sometimes you just gotta let it marinate. But the boss fights were all incredibly unique. None of them had similar, I don't want to say gimmicks, but gimmicks. They were all very unique, and I love that because you could tell that a lot of effort was put into the boss fights, the boss designs, the attacks. Basically, the boss attack cycles were, I believe all of them were 4. Some might be more or less. I can't honestly remember. I remember 4 for all of them I do. But 4 unique attacks, and then it would cycle through. So you might die a few times, take the first few attempts to learn the move cycles, and then you can figure out how to juke them, how to like, you know, kind of cheese them a bit, or just go full force into them. Super, super like rewarding when you get done, and sometimes I did cheese them a bit, and it made me feel proud to be able to like do that to the bosses. But overall, I just really felt good each time I beat a boss. None of them felt scummy. The story is also pretty simple, but like I mentioned, the plot twist, if you want to call it that, yeah, I'd call it that, at the end, really, really good. And it is worth it if you're like halfway through and you're kind of done. Maybe you're in like the last big section and you're just like, I don't know if I want to finish it. Finish it for the story twist. It's actually really satisfying. But then we move on to the cons, and there are a number of them, but they're just more annoying than anything else. A lot of them revolved around the controls. I used a controller for it. I was either playing on my Steam Deck or using a controller for my PC, but I never used keyboard and mouse, so it might be different if you do. The main one was aiming the guns, so you use the thumbsticks to aim, but anytime I would just be walking around, I wouldn't even be touching the right joystick, which is used to specifically aim the gun. It would go southeast, and I don't know why. It would consistently do that, both with the controller and the Steam Deck, and there's no way both of them have the exact same issue to do that, so it had to be something in the game. So that was really frustrating because it did end up like me taking damage because it wasn't shooting the enemy like it should have been. The other was the teleporting ability. You can just kind of do like a jump teleport, and I used it a lot in boss fights. It was kind of like the main tech that I really enjoyed using, and it would come in 3 different forms. Form 1 would be, it would work perfectly. I would go from point A immediately to point B where the teleport was. The second one was it would kind of be delayed and then it would go. I don't think I really ran into many issues that were annoying with this form of it. I might have taken some damage a few times. I remember in a boss that like throws paintings and stuff around, I had a big issue with that one kind of messing with me, but I don't think it was a huge deal. And the third one was sometimes it just wouldn't work. I would throw my teleport point and I would pop in like an inch away from where I was, nowhere near where the teleport point was. So that was the most annoying because that would end up getting me killed or taking like a crucial amount of damage, which would just put me out of the boss fight entirely because then I would die like the next hit. So that was my main point of contempt with the controls, was the teleporting. It was just super frustrating. It caused so many needless deaths. The last point is the inconsistency with the hitboxes, both for me and the bosses. There was multiple boss fights to where I would do identical jumps over incoming bullets or whatever it was, and 9 times out of 10 I would be fine. It would clear it. And then sometimes it just wouldn't, and I would take damage, and I could not figure out why. And there would be times to where, you know, I mentioned there's contact damage. I wouldn't be right on top of the boss. I could see that there's pixels in between us, and I would still take contact damage. And I'm just like, where's the hitboxes? I need to see the hitboxes. This is driving me crazy. So that one was the most frustrating one, and it also caused so many needless deaths. But those are the big 3 for issues. I do hope that they can be patched at some point. Maybe they have been, since it did take me a bit to write this review and sit down to actually record it. But going into the overall thoughts, I did really think that this was a good game. It did take me a while for each boss, but I started to get better and better after each one. I just felt myself like developing more skills for the game, and it I really can't see much wrong with it to not recommend it. Now, how long to beat? Put this at completionist, 13 hours. So either that's wrong or I really suck, which should not be the case. I should not suck at a platformer game, because why did it take me 33.5 hours? So expect your playthrough to be somewhere in between 13 and 33 hours. Now, the story is definitely not the driving factor. If you are someone who is trying to grab a game that is going to like move you emotionally with the narrative, this is not the game you're looking for. If you're someone who wants a little piece of a narrative with primarily boss fight after boss fight with traversal to just get you from one fight to the next, this is more of what you should be looking for. So let's see, what did I recommend this to? I recommend this to anyone who likes Metroidvanias but wants to switch it up with a standard 2D platformer. So this is not a Metroidvania, but I feel like it has enough elements of what you see in Metroidvanias for those who maybe are like Metroidvania enthusiasts that want to step out of their comfort zone to a different genre. This might be a good one to start with. I give 𝕚𝕚𝕟 and 𝕚𝕚𝕟 a solid 4 out of 5 stars. I think I need to deduct a point for the inconsistency of the controls and hitboxes because they can get very annoying to someone, especially if you have a short amount of time, because they are not going to be progressing much if you keep dying to the same boss over and over. So there it is. That is my review of 𝕚𝕚𝕟 and 𝕚𝕚𝕟. So that ends this episode of Pixel Journey. So I think that's it. Let me know if this game sounds good to you, if you want to give it a try. Let me know in the comments, and if there's a game that you want me to review on a future episode of Pixel Journey, leave it in the comments below and I will try and get to it at some point. God knows my backlog has too many games, why not add a few more? But with that, I leave you to the rest of your day, and I hope to see you again in the future comment section of a future video. And yeah, if you like the video, give me a thumbs up to let me know I did a good job rambling here in my chair. And if you want to go the extra mile, take a look at the channel. If you like what you see, maybe give me a subscribe so I don't lose me in the sea of YouTube content. And with that, bye-bye. I didn't say the name of the game yet. The game is 𝕚𝕚𝕟 and 𝕚𝕚𝕟, and it is a small indie game. I had never heard of it before I was approached by Minimap to cover it. And I'm really sad that I haven't seen many people talk about it because, little spoiler, we'll talk about this a bit more later, this game was actually put out by the same people that do the Guilty Gear series. Now, if you're a fan of Guilty Gear, I kind of hope that maybe you've heard of it from if you maybe follow the official like accounts online somewhere, because this game should be known by more people. It's just really fun.